Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
This is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure, and also as part of the IndyCast, because we are here to talk about the leaked Indiana Jones 5 D23 teaser trailer that just hit the interwebs a couple of hours ago. Mitch, are you excited?
Ed, as one who's been working on the Raider.net website and the IndyCast since 2007, I would say after 15 years, I have not been this excited since the last time we saw an Indiana Jones movie in 2008, which was The Crystal Skull. But I think we all know how that ended. So I think this time they're going to do it right, because this is the last adventure of Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford.
That is correct. And it's probably not the ideal way to witness, this momentous occasion by watching a leaked video of it. And
right.
We were going to say spoilers.
Spoilers. We're going to spoil the hell out of this. But I got to tell you, Ed, as one who's been working in the marketing world since 1989, I was telling my son tonight when I picked him up at the train station, I am very leery when I hear the word leaked, because I don't think that happens just by accident. It's not 1995 anymore. Mm-hmm. Everything's calculated. Everything goes out. If you and I saw this, and so did millions of other people, I'm betting we're going to see the high definition, full blown trailer probably Friday.
Yep.
This week, because New York Comic Con is next week. There's going to be a lot of stuff there. So maybe they're just getting everything in a row and they want something to talk about. So anyway, it's leaked. We saw it. Let's start talking about
it. Where do we start? I've got to say, first of all, you know how we heard, I think it was maybe James Mangold said, "Oh, we're not really, it's not a finished trailer or anything like that."
Yeah.
I showed Kelly and she goes, "That's a trailer, isn't it?" I go, "Yeah,
that's a full trailer." I mean, yeah, they've got title cards in the middle of that thing. That's a full trailer. The only thing they didn't have, well, we're jumping ahead. We didn't see an official title. So maybe that's what they're kind of holding off. They want a big reveal for it, because Disney's got a couple big movies coming out. They've got the Black Panther movie. They've got the Avatar movies. Yes. So why not, attach this when it's ready to rock and roll? And everybody has said that maybe just the title is Indiana Jones, but I don't think they're going to do that. That would just be like saying James Bond. There's going to be a title. So
there is. And I believe James Mangold has alluded to that there is going to be a title. Why break tradition, yeah. I think,
well, it started off called Raiders Lost Ark, and then
but Raiders of the Lost,
I know we don't talk about that Indiana Jones and the Raiders Lost Ark, but anyway, let's go on with the trailer, because I'm sure that's what people want to know.
Okay, so again, spoilers.
Spoiler. If you saw the trailer, and we're assuming you did, we're going to talk about what we saw. So this
now we'll show some stills and things like that, but we're not going to show the actual trailer, because we don't want to get taken
we don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to go to Lucasfilm jail. We've been working on the fan world for years. We don't want to go.
Don't want to be banned.
We're not going to end it like this. No.
So it starts off with a voiceover. Now I've got it. Actually, I've got the text of the voiceover here, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So we start off with a voiceover who sounds like it's at a little bit of a different point than when we actually hear the actual voice, but we believe it's Sala saying, "I miss the desert, I miss the sea, and I miss waking up every morning to wondering what wonderful adventure that new day will bring us." And then Indy says,
those days
have come and gone.
Over. Yeah, come and gone.
I'm getting all emotional. And he goes,
and then
that's
the reveal.
That's when you see Sala saying, "Perhaps
John Rhys-Davies is back.
Perhaps
not. He's back. He said he wasn't going to be in it. I love when you don't have to ruin everything. You don't have to open all your presents before Christmas. So this was a nice thing. I got to admit, got chills. And from the video we saw, I heard people clapping and cheering when Sala came up on the screen. So, well, just speculating right here, it sounds like, because Indy's not in any formal gear when he turns away. He's just wearing his shirt. So it's not like they were at a wedding or a funeral or a formal event. It looks like they're just talking like old friends. And I was trying to get the impression of where Sala was behind it, because it was a dark area. It looked like maybe an airport or something, or a train station. There was something going on behind him, and Indy was on the street. He was turning to walk away. He's just like on a busy city street. So maybe this just happens, and then we'll talk about what happens future. Maybe they got together in the city of New York or something, and then adventure came away and got them involved and whatever. All I know is when I saw Sal, I was going to say when I saw Sala, I heard cheers coming out from that preview audience. So everyone is very excited to see John Rhys Davies back in the Indiana Jones films. It's been since 1989's Last Crusade. It's been a long time.
It has.
30 years.
I suspect that he's not going to be part of the whole adventure. I've just got a feeling he's just there as a bit of a link. I got the feeling now, I'm probably wrong, but I wonder if Indy's speaking at a like doing a lecture tour or something like that, or
maybe
speaking at some sort of conference, and that's where Sala comes up to him and says, "Look, there's one last thing." You know.
Well, we talked about the voiceover, but the scenes that they showed were these little like 3-wheel carts that I've seen over in India that they still go around with. And they were having a car chase with them. And you see Indy jumping from one of them to the other. That could have been set in the 50s, perhaps in the 60s. I mean, he was very spry. So I don't know what year he was. And he did have a tie on. The Indiana Jones I saw jumping from one cart to the other cart was wearing the leather jacket, shirt, and he had the tie like he did in Last Crusade. So maybe he was on some type of lecture tour and he got sucked into, random adventure. And then they said even the sea, when he says, I miss the desert.
I miss the desert. I miss the sea. And then you see
underwater.
Underwater. You also get to see there's a few throwbacks, I think, to a lot of the films in this teaser trailer, where you certainly see the snake. Or maybe it's an eel, because it's
maybe a moray eel,
coming through the mouth, which is really good. But I like what Indy says. I don't believe in magic, but a few times in my life I've seen things I can't explain, and I've come to believe it's not so much what you believe, it's how hard you believe it.
Is him back doing his lecture tour. It's a much bigger hall. It's not as a classroom. It's an actual lecture hall. And he's got the overhead projector, and he's, showing some slides, and he's got the old look on. And then they show him in his office. And if we recall back in Last Crusade, he basically lived in like a storeroom was just surrounded by all his trophies and his collection.
And the boiler in the background.
And the boiler. And it looks like just a bigger version of that. And as he's walking, he turns, I thought he would be turning the light off, like he's going home or whatever, and he just flicks the light on. And basically, to me, that shows like he's become like Marcus Brody, getting lost in his own museum. He's just the curator now of the museum, and that would be appropriate for Indiana Jones. He's been a professor, he's been assistant dean. We last left him in the Crystal Skull. He got promoted, so it just comes to. This makes sense to me. The fruition is he replaced Marcus Brody and Stanforth or whatever, and becomes the curator of the museum there at Mitchell College.
Do you get the feeling that, like, we've just talked about Star Trek 2 and how
William Shatner,
Kirk, his character feels like old and he's past his use-by date. You sort of get the feeling that Indy is sort of a little bit resigned to that he's just put out to pasture a little bit.
Yeah, he's just out to, and when he says that line, like you mentioned a couple minutes ago, when he says those days are long gone or whatever. Yeah, that's just like, come on, it's time to be an old man, and you gotta stop. And then when he does talk about the things he said he's seen in his life, and you have to believe.
Yep.
When that audio happens, you see him as a young man. We're going to talk about the visuals now. You see Harrison Ford in a Nazi uniform. Looks like he got off the set of Force 10 from Navarone.
He does.
1978. They definitely de-aged him, and we knew that was coming because we saw those de-aged special effects spots with him from footage. Yeah. And he literally looked like he just walked off that set from Force 10 from Navarone. He was a captured Nazi disguise. And then they show a bunch of scenes of a train, and somebody's running on top of a train, because Sala says, "Oh, I would love to wake up and every day is a new adventure," or whatever. And you see that. So there's a motorcycle, a lot of the images. And then
I know that reminded me of Last Crusade, with the motorbike, with the train.
Well, I was thinking of the movie The Great Escape, because you saw Steve McQueen on almost the same motorcycle tearing through the countryside. And then when I saw the train, I'm thinking he jumps from the motorcycle onto the train and he's running across the top of it. Maybe he's trying to stop, or maybe he's trying to capture whatever they've taken off. And we know from behind the scenes that there was a train at the castle over in England when they filmed it. A lot of explosions were going on. So that's definitely from the opening of this movie. This is definitely a 1940 Indy movie. Maybe Mac is in it, because I have a theory that I'm going to mention later on. Mm-hmm. He said, Mac, first time I met you, you had a Luger pointed to the back of your head. Maybe they tie that all in. I mean, give some
Love
rewards.
To Crystal Skull.
Love to Crystal Skull. Why not?
Well, I think there is. We'll talk, and again, we'll talk a bit about that. I think there's some throwbacks to Crystal Skull in this trailer, but yeah, and then we get a look at, again, you know, it's very blurry footage, and until we get, you know, a high definition official release, you know, but that de-age where they remove the, you know, like the pillowcase off young Indy in the Nazi outfit, it looks pretty darn good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, they did their.
They're getting very good at whatever, and I know it's only for a few seconds. And certainly, there's also a shot of Indy in his full leather gear, you know, jacket and fedora, which is I'm pretty 99% sure is a de-aged version of younger Indy. And again,
Indy, not
it looks like him around Last Crusade, around that era.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we don't know if that whole opening sequence with the two cars going at each other and Solid saying he likes the desert, maybe it's all around the same time. But now I'm thinking they never jumped around a lot during the opening, so it was always set in one thing. So I'm definitely thinking it's set in like Nazi Germany with a castle. And then another chase might be later on in the movie. Maybe that was an older Harrison Ford. Maybe because it looked like, I'm gonna say Morocco or something like that. It looked like a, I don't know, because I know this movie goes to Italy. We know some of the locations, but that's not an Italian. I've been to Italy. I don't ever recall seeing those like tri-motor scooter things going around the streets of Sicily or anything. But who knows? Maybe
no, they'd all be on Vespas or Lambretta.
They'd be on Vespas, yeah. So that's definitely not Italy. Okay. And then what are the other things? Like you said, that he sounds like he doesn't want to come back, but when he says that one line, I've seen a lot of things, you know, and there's somebody on top of the train coming towards him that's backlit.
So I assume when you have the close up of it looks like, from what we can see, Mads Mikkelsen, a German officer with an eye patch.
Yeah,
gotta love me an eye patch on a bad guy. So
I know.
So that's pretty good. Again, they're very fleeting sort of, you know, images.
Who was the actor? I thought I saw an actor with a mustache.
There was. That's when there was some sort of, I don't know. I couldn't tell who he was.
Well, we do know there's a sequence in the movie where that takes place when the astronauts come back from the Apollo mission.
Yes,
in a car. It looked like New York. Well, I know it's New York because there's something else that pops up. So he's on horseback.
Yes,
and we saw them filming that in England too. So there's a character that pulls a gun out and shoots it in the air, and everyone drops down.
So that was that Boyd.
Looks like
Boyd
a spy.
Holbrook, I think. That looked like him. Obviously trying to get the attention of the crowd, or to disperse the crowd. There's some great sequences you can see there. With the horse chase, and there's also a car chase that you get to see with Helena. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who looks like into the action, and that reminded me. There was a few things. It reminded me of the Crystal Skull motorbike car chase with Mutt, but it also reminded me of throwbacks to the Temple of Doom mine car chase, where they were trying to grab Shorty.
Oh, Shorty,
and you know, I think there was quite a few throwbacks to that. There was a scene earlier on with a boulder shaped thing, which was quite good. So nothing too. I didn't feel like it was on the nose. I felt like it really, was just a little callback, which I thought was pretty.
I'll tell you what, when he says, like, again, going back to the old Indy doesn't want to do anything anymore, and then suddenly you see the hat and the whip, and he reaches for it and he grabs, because it's not just the hat, it's the whip next to it too. Yep. He goes to pick them up. It's almost like, you got to go back to work, like the gunslinger putting on his holster,
Yes.
ready to go fight in the OK Corral or whatever it was. It was definitely something happens. And again, we're going to talk about the whole trailer. And I think I know what it is that brings them back. You got to have that family endangering of anybody who's ever been in movies way before Liam Neeson's family started getting taken.
Yes.
Harrison Ford, the king of people messing with his family, whether it was in Patriot Games or any of those other movies. It's like, stop messing with my family. And he'd come after you. Even in Firewall, where they took his dog in Virginia Madsen, he still came after Paul Bettany.
Firewall? You're bringing up Firewall?
Oh I'm bringing up all the Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford stuff. So I'm telling you, when Phoebe, what's her character's name? No, what's her character's name?
Helena
might be the thing that brings him back, because Frank Marshall said in a Twitter feed photo or whatever that that's his goddaughter.
Yep.
And at the very end of the trailer, we're going to jump. There's a funny scene where Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones says, let her go, I'm her godfather. And you see
they all say, who is this?
Yeah, they said,
I'm
who
her
is
godfather.
This? I'm her godfather. So Salah's in the beginning. Maybe something happens. Maybe they go to a funeral for a friend, or maybe they've bumped into each other, or like you said, he's on a lecture circuit, and maybe something happens to Salah. Maybe somebody kidnaps him, or whatever happens. But that girl or that woman, Helena, being taken or kidnapped, is the dynamic that's going to bring him out of retirement for at least one last time, because it's personal this time. You know what I mean?
It's sort of like in Last Crusade with Henry Jones Sr.
This time he's bringing his dad. Yeah, this time he's bringing his granddaughter or his goddaughter.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, but here's one other thing we didn't think of. Everyone's saying, oh, maybe it's Salah's daughter, which I think it might end up being, because he had like 12 kids.
I don't think it will be, but yeah. Okay.
Well, it could be. Who says it's not Mac's daughter? Indy has some guilt. Mac died. He's like, Jonesy, take care. I'll be all right. And he does the wink and he disappears into the space between spaces. Yes. But you never know. He did save his life. And then before he became a triple agent, I mean, it's either Marcus Brody, or it's got to be somebody we saw before.
It's either Brody or Dean Stanford. I think
I think it's got to be somebody from the first movie.
I just don't think they would cast Phoebe Waller-Bridge as an Egyptian, unless it's an adopted.
Yeah, but John Rhys Davies is not.
I know, but that was back Egyptian. Then where it was.
Yeah, but they just did it again in this movie, so they look the other way on certain things,
Well, I mean, that's established, as.
I'm just saying. Diego Luna is not from outer space, but he plays a guy in space with an accent. True. So you don't know, okay? It's not real.
When you can understand when he's not.
Before we start jumping all over the world, remember, it ain't real. It's a movie. But
it is.
It's not real. It's not real. So anyway, what are the other scenes that we saw?
The plane, which reminded me of the cockpit shot from the Millennium Falcon.
Right, and everything was coming at it. Yeah.
So I don't know if that I couldn't tell if that's Indy flying or if that's a perspective of someone, maybe the plane shooting the train, perhaps.
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a World War II plane. It looked like a cockpit from a bomber or something. It wasn't a modern day aircraft there.
Like
so
it's definitely Busters or something like that.
Yeah. And then there was some other scene that I wanted to mention that there was a lot of action in it. Oh, the titles, we didn't talk about that. It said
Discover the Adventure. Yes.
And
see Antonio Banderas quickly, Of a Lifetime.
Discover the Adventure of a Lifetime.
Yes.
So they're emphasizing definitely this is going to be the final adventure. We all know it's coming. Yeah. They've said it a million times. This is the fifth and final adventure with Harrison Ford.
Yes.
As Indiana Jones. I stress that because we all know that Walt Disney has a lot invested in the Indiana Jones franchise, and maybe it goes animated, maybe it becomes a TV series, maybe it's a reboot with another person, but I don't think they're going to put the Indiana Jones character to bed anytime soon.
That's right. I don't think so.
Not with Harrison Ford, yeah, but I don't know if it's, Maybe it's Helena. Maybe she becomes the new adventurer. We don't know. We'll have to
That's
wait and
fine.
see.
I mean, that's fine. It just won't. It's not Indiana Jones. I think it's
No, then it's more Tomb Raider. But
well that. Yeah. It's
they
just a
already got.
spin-off. It's a
Yeah, that
spin-off,
it's a
which
spin-off. Well, here's the other thing we noticed. There's no Marion Ravenwood.
no,
He
there's
seems a
no.
little sad and lonely because I'm like, well, who's to say something
However,
didn't?
in the foot, look. Okay, so in some of the behind-the-scenes photos, you do see Harrison with his wedding ring. So he's married. But
Yeah,
has something happened to Marion? Maybe
that's what I'm saying. He looks very sad. He's not happy. I mean, he was happy at the end of Crystal Skull. He was finally got married. He was happy. He got his son.
You don't think
Maybe something
happened to Matt
and
Mutt
Marion.
and Marion?
Maybe he's not a happy man because the Indiana Jones I remember from the Crystal Skull when he was walking out and he picked his hat up again. That guy was going on more adventures. He was happy, not hanging it up. The one that you see in the beginning of this movie definitely, resolved to the fact he's just going to be another relic in his museum and just gathering dust. I don't think he wants to go out. I mean, he's telling Sala that he doesn't want to. Sala's the one that's bringing him back in. He's the one that says it. And like I said, maybe because the familial danger with his goddaughter is like, well, I lost my real son, I lost my wife, and my dad's gone, and everybody's gone in my family. They already hinted at that in Crystal Skull when he was depressed. So maybe it's come back again, and this is it. Maybe that's why Sala's in New York. I don't know. I don't think Indiana Jones went to the astronauts parade. I think he was there for another reason.
Yes.
And then something broke out, or he recognized a person. We've talked about the Nazis being used in the U.S. space program. So maybe Mikkelsen, and I've seen pictures of Mads Mikkelsen with older makeup on. So maybe he was like a German scientist in World War II.
Yes.
And Indy, and there was some box that they showed during this filming with Toby Jones, and people guessed it. Maybe it was like the
Antikythera, which is this sort of
like a star map thing. Yeah.
So do you think that so because you've also seen Harrison Ford in the behind the scenes in that that parade where he has a gift, he's got a present or something like that. So it could be just, like in the basket game where he's just happens to be in a location when that all happens. And then obviously someone sees him, that Boyd Holbrook sees him and is obviously after him, whether he's a do you think he's an American agent or is he
could be CIA. That's happened before.
Well, remember
FBI.
the top men who were worried about Indy, about Abner Ravenwood being discussed and thought he might be a Nazi sympathizer. I wonder if they think he's.
Well, there was a lot of stuff still going on in the U.S. with the communists and things in the late 60s too. So it's not like they were gone. The Russians were still the bad guys, and they still are now. But anyway, one of the things I was going to say is there's a lot of whip action, which was sadly missing from Crystal Skull. There wasn't enough whip action, but there's definitely a couple scenes on the train and a bunch of other things where he's definitely cracking the whip twice. And at the very end, when we talked about that amusing scene where he says, "I'm her godfather," it's almost like a callback to the Han Solo scene, or the scene where in Temple of Doom when he chases the two guards and then he runs the other way because now there's hundreds of people. You see Indy standing there and he's, let her go, I'm her godfather. And then you hear that noise and there's a room full of about 30 or 40 bad guys, all with their guns aimed right at Indiana Jones. And then they start shooting and you just see him run the other way. Typical Indiana Jones in way over his head. No way he's going to get out of this one, and that's why the character's been great. And the humor is definitely there because that was solely missing from the Crystal Skull. It almost took itself too serious, where you have the humor in Raiders Lost Ark, obviously, and Temple of Doom. The first three definitely had that. He's a hero, he's a professor, but he's also lots of times just weighing over his head, but he still doesn't stop.
What did you think about I know the music for the trailer is never the correct music. I always felt
this was intentional. This wasn't just by accident. This was definitely the Indiana Jones Raider March, but it was slowed down. It was still that heroic trumpet, but it was like, instead of dun, 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 it's almost like you took a 33 record. I'm dating myself, and you slowed it down even more. It was like dun, 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 dun. It's there, the song, but it's definitely a lot slower, just like Indy. Maybe it's John Williams purposely,
Well, I
maybe it's
think
building up.
Well, it obviously builds up that emotion for, when you do see the hat for the first time and those first reveals. What did you think about the again, it's very hard. It's a bad copy that we've seen. What about the like not production design, but the photography? Do you think it looks like an indie film?
The scenes with the chase back and forth with those carts in the beginning and there's never been an underwater sequence, so it's hard to judge that. But definitely, I'm thinking when they pull that mask off or whatever, the pillowcase over his head, and you see him in that Nazi uniform, it definitely reminded me of Last Crusade when they do the when it goes down and it comes back from River Phoenix to Harris Ford, and he had that same look, and it had that Spielberg camera moving effect. So James Mangold, I'm gonna say James Mangold, I've seen his other films, the action looks just as good or if not better than any of the Spielberg stuff. From the brief scenes I saw, it was definitely kinetic and it was definitely moving and there was a lot of action to it. So yeah, I definitely got the chills with it. I mean, just hearing Sala and seeing him, that was enough to get the goosebumps going. And then when you saw the hat and the whip being picked up, and then you just knew, and then you saw that like big ball thing crash down, you knew you were back in an Indiana Jones movie. And then, like I said, they ended with a little bunch of humor. Just like the last, you remember the trailer for Last Crusade? It's like, those people are trying to kill me. I know, it happens to me all the time.
I do, yes.
They pulled the hat down. So they ended that one with a funny bit. And I remember Temple of Doom. I think it ended with the it ended with the guy being lowered down into the lava pit. But I remember
lots of laughs.
I remember the spikes coming down, and you just saw him in Short Round running back and forth. But that had some humor too in the trailer. So yeah, and that
Crystal Skull had, I said you were a teacher, part-time.
Yeah, part-time. Yeah, but this one definitely had the right feel to it.
And I think a lot of there's still a lot of naysayers out there. No one wanted Indy for this and that. I certainly think
who are these people?
I know. I think
they're just miserable people. They're sad, miserable, lonely people.
We still get people who, constantly I still get about Crystal Skull and think, and you know what? It's all right to
how
not
many
like
years,
something.
Ben?
I know. It's all right to not like something, but just
you gotta let it go. Just let it go. You know how many
I'm going to go watch Crystal Skull right now after this on 4K.
You know how many bad James Bond movies there are? They're not all home runs. Sometimes they're like an inside double. That's it. Inside the park double. They're not all great.
I'm just pretending I know what that means. So
okay, you're going to tell me that Diamonds Are Forever is a great movie? No, it's a piece of crap. Okay, you're going to tell
that great space car at the end where he's driving.
Yeah, Jill St. John. You're going to tell me that the one with you're going to tell me any of the Pierce Brosnan ones are good? I'm sorry, all 4 of them suck. There's some good moments, there's some good characters, but overall that was a disappointment. What are you going to do? You got to move on. You're going to tell me all the Star Wars movies are fantastic? They're not. So people just like putting things down.
I know.
They can never raise anything up. They can never compliment anything without a backhand thing like, oh, Raiders and the rest are good, but Crystal Skull sucks. It's like, okay, so 3 out of 4 are good, so that's 75%. You're going to just focus on that. What's the matter? Mom and dad didn't hug you enough when you were a baby? You need some more affirmation? You're good. Okay, now go do something else. Go bother somebody else. Anyway, that's it.
I'm sorry to be excited.
I'm sorry we had to see it like this. I felt guilty looking at it going, I don't think we're supposed to see this because it's not official. But like I said, you and I and all our IndyCast people and all of the people that listen to us and watch us, we've been waiting for this thing literally since May 19th, 2008, the last time an Indiana Jones hit the big screen.
Yep.
And it's been a long, long wait to see this. We knew it was coming. It just took forever to get here. That's all. So July 3rd, June 30th, I know where I'll be.
I'm going to be with you, Mitch. That's the exciting thing. I'm going to be there. Are we seeing it in Connecticut or New York?
We could see it both places. It's not that far apart. We could go back and forth. We're going to see it multiple times. We're going to see Indiana Jones so much, we're going to be bleeding bullwhips.
Oh,
sounds painful, but it
does. I'm sure there's a cream for that. It'll be all fine. So thanks so much for watching. If you've got a comment on what you thought of the trailer, or, you know, if by the time you see that the official version is out and we made any errors or mistakes, let us know in the comments below. But Mitch, if you want to find out a little bit more about our show, how can you do that?
Well, you could simply subscribe to Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure, hit the notification bell so you'll know next time Ed and I go looking for buried treasure, or hit the like button if you like what we had to say. But if you really want to listen about Indiana Jones, we have 14, almost 15 years worth of podcasts out there. So go look on iTunes, go look wherever you get your podcasts and type in the IndyCast.
That's right. Or go to indycast.com and you can find out more.
You'll hear Ed and I and the rest of the gang talking about the actors, the music, the comic books, the collectibles, the clothing, you name it. If there's anything been about Indiana Jones, we have uncovered it for the last 400 episodes or more.
Something I think with all our music specials and everything like that,
Comic-Con specials and John Williams specials.
That's right.
We are like the biggest source. And check out the Raider.net too. There's everything you want to know about Indiana Jones on that as well. And that's it.
All right. Well, remember, if adventure has a name, it's got to be Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure.
Excellent Adventure.
That's right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.